Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And tonight, I want to share with you a stupid basic training story. Be right back. Everybody, welcome back to the channel. And Sunday night, I'm going to share with you a story today from when I was in basic training. I went to basic training in 1986. And I attended basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And because my dad was serving in the Army, he got with a recruiter and got me in early. So I got to go to basic training, something that normally only the National Guard does. It was a split option. So I got to go to basic training. Then I came back home, finished my last year of high school, and I went back. Very, very rare thing. I didn't know how rare it was. I thought it was like a normal thing. But yeah, I guess when you know somebody, you can sort these things out. Anyway, so I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, 1986, June 18th or 16th, like that. It's on my picture right there, but I can't see it. I don't have my eyes. You'll see it when I'll scan it or something. Put it on the front page. But anyway, yeah, I went to basic training in 1986 at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and I was in some basic training unit. I don't remember what it was, but I remember my drill sergeants were Senior Drill Sergeant, I think his name was Jackson. And then my primary drill sergeant was Drill Sergeant Walker and Drill Sergeant Hardy. Now, Drill Sergeant Walker was an 82nd Airborne Division guy who went to Grenada back in the during the war, and had a CIB and combat patches, kind of stuff like that, and wore jump wings and stuff. And I think he even had air assault wings, but he used to always refer to everybody as douchebags, so or his wife douchebag or some shit like that, you know. So, and then my other drill sergeant was a guy named Drill Sergeant Hardy, and he was a straight leg infantryman, but he had a Corvair, a white Corvair, which barely seemed to run. Is always parked in the same spot. He's a short guy, but you know what? He was very straight to you and very honest. And I have another story from him later on in my career when I met him back after I'd finished some schools at Fort Benning and got to see him again, and a little bit later, maybe a year or two later, something like that. But anyway, so those two guys, man, they were tough, but you know what? Basic training for me was the longest period of my life because it was 2 months. The first time I was away from home. So for me, it was tough. And I'm going to tell you a couple little stories about basic training. One was, I think I may have said this before, but one was when I, after a month, we got to call home. And I remember waiting in line like everybody else. And we had 5 minutes on the phone and they timed us. And matter of fact, it was really interesting. I remember the drill sergeant timed us, and I'm now friends with him on Facebook. It's really funny. You meet one of your former drills, but he was in another platoon. I was in second platoon. Anyway, so we do second platoon, second to none. If we can't do it, it can't be done. That was our. Yeah, that's one of the few things like that I remember from all those years, you know. But we had gotten, you know, we got to go to the PX for the first time, so we were limited to what we could get. But I got some extra socks, extra T-shirts, you know, and we couldn't get any pokey bait, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I got that, and maybe some new toothpaste, just like that, some new bars of soap, whatever, you know, just a little bit of stuff that we could actually have. And so that's what I had grabbed. And I remember coming back, and then we had waited in line to get to call home, and it was my turn. I was very nervous, man. I was very, very nervous and almost to tears, you know, and called home and nobody answered. I was like, oh my God, I lost 2 minutes, you know, just trying to call home. Nobody answered. I had to go back to the end of the line, and then it was my turn again. I had 3 minutes, and the drill sergeant, he kept up with it, you know. But also I did too. He asked me, how long you got? So I got 3 minutes. Well, I called my grandma, my dad's mother, and her name was Lucille Box. And boy, was she's something else, man. I called her, and the moment she answered, I started crying. I was crying. And I remember I was 17 years old, and I had never been away from home, and I was just a country boy, you know, from Louisiana, and I just cried, and she just basically babied me on the phone. Oh, baby, oh, baby. I tell you, oh, it turned out my parents were on vacation. I never took any vacation. We took a few vacations, but in growing up, but they had really like taken off. You know, as soon as I left out of the house, they started doing all kinds of stuff. You know. Anyway, so I just shed my tears, and the drill sergeants, I guess, were used to this. So they basically, they didn't mess with you, and we marched back to the barracks. And but something happened a few weeks later. Me and my bunk buddy named Private Briary. I don't remember Briary's first name. Maybe it was Brian or something like that. I don't remember. But he and I, they just sort of relaxing things a bit. And we had lunch. And I think we had lunch. We were eating outside. Or maybe it was some kind of, we were getting ready for something. But I think it was like in the last week. We still had another week to go. And we could start talking while we were eating. And there's this other kid from 4th Platoon who was sitting right amongst us. And I told him a joke. Well, this joke, man, was a joke that was heard around the world. And I got in so much trouble. Oh, my God. Twice I cried in basic training. This is the second time. And the joke was, hey, if you woke up, as a very, inappropriate joke, but if you went camping and woke up with Vaseline around your butt, would you tell anybody? Well, it's a two-way joke. If you said yes, then I guess you got away with the joke. But everybody said no. And then your reply would be, you want to go camping. So anyway, a few hours later, we were in the barracks, and the 4th Platoon Sergeant, 4th Platoon Drill Sergeant showed up and was yelling for me, specifically me. And he marched my butt straight down to the headquarters company, to the senior drill sergeant's office, where all the drill sergeants were there in his office. And he immediately started chewing my ass out. And I was okay with getting my ass chewed, but and even him asking me if I was a gay and all this kind of stuff like that, because at that time you couldn't be gay and be in the military. Well, I'm not gay and I wasn't gay, but boy, he had me like shaking. And then he told me, we're going to kick you out of the Army. You're just going to finish up next week, and then we're going to send you home, and that's going to be finished. And when he said that to me, that broke my heart, because that was the only thing I've ever wanted since I was 4 years old, was to be a soldier. And that really just hit me hard. I just sort of tears rolling down my eyes. But he had this saying that he said first day is that you're going to get your ass chewed out a whole lot while you're in basic training, but just say in your mind, fuck it, And then I remember he said, now get the hell out of my office, before I kick you out, and I was like a little bit like, oh, thank God, And so I turned around and was marching out of his office, and all the drill sergeants there just sort of looking at me and this kind of stuff. And when I got to the door, he goes, I can't hear you. And I remember what he said, and I said, and I just sort of like stopped, and I didn't say it out loud. And he goes, I can't hear you. And so I yelled it, fuck it. And he said, now move on out, and I did. And that was the end of that. But what the shocker was is like the following week, this kid that I told this joke to came clean that he was gay, and they kicked him out of the Army. So felt a little bit bad about that, I guess, Anyway, I'm also a father with a gay son now, so who's married, and I have a son-in-law, and so I've never been someone who's disrespected the gay community, and I don't have anything negative to say about all that. Everybody has their right to live their lives the way they want to, and I support my son and love my son. So no matter, short from starting to mass murder people, I really don't have any, he can basically, do what he wants to in his life, and I wouldn't be disappointed, I just want to see him be successful, and I want him to live his life as happy as can be. But anyway, so that's my really quick short story from basic training. It got a whole lot easier in AIT because I didn't fuck around anymore. I was always a pretty serious guy, though. I stayed pretty serious when it came to being a soldier. I like joking and laughing, this kind of stuff, as much as the next guy, but I never hazed anybody in my entire career. I never really chewed out anybody's ass either. When I was a non-commissioned officer, for me, it just wasn't the, we were dealing with grown men, and it's about, I think, that, like I said, the worst thing and even my kids will say this, the worst thing I can say to them is I'm disappointed in them. So, and so, you know, I reminded my soldiers when I was non-commissioned officer, listen, I mean, you know, you're here for a reason. If you don't want to be here, you know, think twice about it, and then, you know, work your way out of it. I know a few guys who've done that, not because of me, but because of other NCOs who gave them the same conversation, but, and they realized that it wasn't for them. You know, the thing about once you sign that contract, you're in, you know, so, and I took that contract very serious. I loved my time in the Army. It wasn't always great. I had a great time in my first 4 years when I was at Lewis, and then, or close to 4 years, and I had a great time. And Germany was okay, although I met my wife when I was in Germany, and we were married for 20 years before things split up. But Germany was a little bit different. When the unit I was in, I wasn't always completely happy with the first period of that. You know, I was in a military intelligence battalion, and it was sort of freaky, you know. And then the last part of my career, I was back at Bragg, and I really enjoyed that. I liked it every day, and I enjoyed being a part of a great bunch of guys also, and so I had a good time. But I had lots of good friends also in Germany, and in the end moved back to Europe, and I've been here for 27 years. But I've been living in Europe longer than I ever lived in America. So what does that tell you? But anyway, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this little story. I'm going to come up with some more, I guess. I've had a request for these kind of stories, and lots of my friends who know me have asked me to tell these stories. I should put them on video, and although I do tell stories, I won't tell some stories because I'm not out to harm anybody, nor am I out to really admit too much about what I did in the Army, because that's just something that, you know, you as a YouTuber, you as the audience here, you know, will have to sort of put up with some of that, you know. I do apologize, but yeah, some things are just left unknown, and then nothing crazy, nothing special. But I had a good time, and I had an interesting time in the Army. But yeah, I'll come up with some more of these little stories and tell you as things go by, because it was some freaky stuff and some cool stuff and typical boy stuff and typical guy stuff, and yeah, and you know, nothing crazy, but I enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed my time in the Army, and it's over. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please leave a like, share with your friends and enemy, go down below and comment, and please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to hearing what you got to say down below also. And I want to thank all of you for coming to my channel and supporting me. And I ask you to please continue supporting me. Anyway, hope to hear from you again soon. And like I said, if you like this kind of stuff, let me know. If you don't, if enough of you don't like it, I won't continue telling these little stories. We'll just won't take up your time. Anyway, thanks a lot. I hope you all have a good night, and I'll talk to you very soon. Goodbye.